Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the one about Godzilla movies. And I paused there because my brain went, wait a minute, did we clap at the beginning of this episode to sync ourselves up? And we did. We sure did. So I'm just going to keep moving on. I'm Caleb. And today we're talking about the 1968 Godzilla movie, Destroy All Monsters.
If you're just joining us, I just talked about my trip to Italy and all the places I went and all the things I did and the things I liked about it.
Could you give us the non-member version of your trip to Italy? Give us 30 seconds.
I have to be concise.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be good at that. So I went to Italy and I went with two friends and it was about 16 days and we went to sort of 5 major cities, 2 full days and a travel day between in each city. And just saw all the things, all of the art, all the art museums, went up in a bunch of towers, got a bunch of views, took a million photos, ate a lot of really great food, and spent all of my money and some of my money from next year. So,
nice,
so to speak.
Nice.
That's a summary.
Sweet. I did not do anything interesting while he was gone. I'm sure I did, but I was just here. I didn't leave the country. Coincidentally, this is really coincidental. I am wearing a shirt with someone on it who is from Rome and lives in Rome actively.
Really?
Yeah, so this is a shirt for a podcast called Connected. And the 3 hosts are on this shirt in the 2000s kind of style.
Like almost gorillas kind of.
Yeah, gorillas that they called it big head for some reason. Even though the heads are small. Yeah, I don't know. So Federico is one of the hosts of that show, and he lives in Rome, and is just a crafty man. And he comes up. He thinks about computers in ways that I only wish I could. So, yeah.
Is he a tech guy?
Oh, big tech guy.
Nice.
That's the whole show is about tech, and he took a MacBook and took the display off of it and made it into mounted it under his desk so he could just have the guts of a MacBook Pro but as a desktop machine that was permanently a desktop machine. It's I don't need the display, get rid of it. And then he turned that into something that he could also use with his iPad. So the iPad became the display of this MacBook, but then he could also just grab his iPad and use it. He's one of those people.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I did find myself thinking a little bit about things like that when I was in Italy in general, because I had a few classes at UIC when I was in computer science back in the day, which makes me sound smarter than I was. There were a bunch, one particular year, 2 semesters, there were a ton of grad students from Italy. It may have been an exchange program or something. They weren't around very long, but there were a bunch of grad students in a few of my classes. Just crushing all the assignments, I assume because they had way more time than an undergraduate, which seemed a little unfair because they were the same assignments and we were all getting the same assignments, but they had more time and knowledge to work on them. It made me look bad. Anyways, but yeah, they all seemed super smart. That's what that makes me think of.
Nice.
This is a Godzilla podcast. What are we talking about again?
Destroy All Monsters, 1968.
That's right.
This is we're closing a chapter today. This is the end of the Showa-era.
Are we watching is the next movie technically in the Showa-era still? No. It's not.
No. Showa-era.
This is the last one then. Okay.
I believe. I mean, I could be.
Yeah, I was just looking at the dates. The next one is called All Out Monsters Attack or something like that, and it's the year after. And then I noticed a couple year gap until the next one. But I did hear that the next movie is really weird and not really well received, and so maybe there isn't really a ton of material in it that matters to the era. Maybe
severely wrong. The Showa-era ends in 1975 with the terror of Mechagodzilla.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it's all one era until 75?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the eras are...
Does that mean Godzilla 1985 is the second era?
Well, whatever the next film after Terror of Mechagodzilla is... Okay. Was that Reiwa is the second era? But the eras are based on who was the emperor in Japan at the time, and nothing else. Like,
yeah, no, makes sense.
So,
okay.
Well, I'm going to retract all of that. So this is what ends up, I guess, becoming really one of the biggest spectacles, really, of the Showa era.
It feels like the end of an era.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like the Avengers of everything that's come before this movie.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like to me.
Yeah. Well, and it was supposed to be. This was supposed to be, Toho was like, okay, we're going to be done with Godzilla. Done with Godzilla. And I think that shows in budget, in how it looks, in how it feels, in the CGI, if you want to call it that. It's not CGI, special effects.
Sure.
Where they were just kind of like, hey, let's throw it all at this one big final hooray kind of thing. So
yeah, it felt that way.
Yeah. I'd love to just kind of set the stage here a little bit for us.
Little summary, and then kind of go through it sequentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So we begin so remember, this film is 1968. They were filming this in the late 60s. We begin in the far off futuristic year of 1999. And
was it really? I didn't catch the year.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So the year is 1999, and humans have figured out how to kind of corral all of the kaiju onto one island and get them to just kind of live there, and that's their place.
I was wondering how they did that. I didn't feel like they really said, but...
Oh, of course not. No, they didn't. No, because this is still before any of that, that kind of lore or plot building didn't matter. So... It's the year 1999. The Earth has figured out, or humanity's figured out how to get all these monsters onto one island, and they didn't explain that at all. They just were like, hey, yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
here we are. So everything is peaceful. It's great. And then suddenly chaos erupts around the globe. We've got Rodan in Moscow doing his sonic boom thing. We've got Godzilla in New York, which I think is a very interesting, foreshadowing then of the Matthew Broderick movie, but also geographically makes no fucking sense. We've got Mothra in Beijing. Well, yeah, I mean,
and later I think they just said that he was in the Pacific. So
right, exactly, Rodan is in Moscow. You easily get from Japan to Moscow. That makes sense. Mothra is in Beijing. From the area around Japan to Beijing, not bad. The two that don't make sense are Manda, the snake, who's in London, and Godzilla in New York.
I think they just picked all the big cities or something.
I mean, yeah, I guess. And really, it's maybe grab, a good way to grab global audiences and a good way to pitch it, being opened around the world and this kind of stuff, whatever, who knows. So all of a sudden, all these monsters are attacking everywhere, and it's kind of just a little bit eerie, I guess you could say. Everybody's like, why is this happening out of nowhere, and kind of coordinated, it seems. And that's just kind of our hook here. This kind of this big extravaganza, what Toho meant to be, and Ishiro Honda, the original director of the 1954, what they were kind of treating as the end of the franchise. And they kind of started off with a bang. It's not,
it just kind of hits the ground running,
Yeah. So we start on Monster Island. We've got this like kind of like futuristic preserve a la Jurassic Park a little bit. And they've got basically everybody there. We've got Godzilla, Rodan, Anguirus, Mothra, Gorosaurus.
Some other things that I don't remember being named.
Yeah, well, Gorosaurus is the one that does like later in the film. By the way, spoiler just in general. Gorosaurus is the one later in the film that does the like kangaroo kick into the back of Ghidorah. The one that he's like kind of looks like a T-Rex.
What movie was he in, or was he not?
He was...
Because I don't remember the name.
He's not been in a Godzilla film, but he was in the Kong, like the King Kong follow-up movie.
Sorry, you'll have to edit out my coughing.
The Italian influenza. He was...
Yes, I got a bit of an Italian cold that I brought home with me.
The espresso cold, they call it. He was in the King Kong follow-up movie like a year or two before. And was the monster, the nemesis or whatever. So we've got like just kind of like every monster in Toho's bucket, all here on constant surveillance on an island by scientists. And it's just kind of like, this illusion of peace. And then all of a sudden just like gas floods the base, people are passing out, and then, gates go down and monsters are unleashed onto the world. So yeah. What do you think about that? Anything like jumped out at you right away about the way the film was feeling or looking or anything like that?
Like up to them being released?
Yeah, just kind of like right off the bat, we've just kind of like you said, it hits the ground running. Anything?
It does. Actually, this is even before we get the plot. They started right off with like a sort of a title shot of like the title of the movie. That's how the movie starts. And it's like this 3D text effect, which I thought was really interesting. Kind of made me wonder how they did it.
Yeah.
Where it's almost like word art and it's like rotating like from like flat to like up so you can like read it. I thought that was cool. I think it was in the opening credits actually before any of the story starts where I like noticed the OG Godzilla director's name. Like it's a Honda film. Mm-hmm. And I didn't necessarily notice it from the credits, but it's the original composer from 1954 as well.
Oh, cool.
So that, got the OG team back kind of a thing.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to end...
right off.
Again, we're going to end the franchise. Let's just bring it back in.
All the things. Like, right off the bat, I noticed just, wow, we have, like, all of these different suit performers. Or maybe they're cycling between a few people who are doing double duty. Who knows?
Well,
but they
except for like at one point there are 11 monsters on the screen at one time, like later in the film. So like somebody's intern was in a suit. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised that they just kind of showed that we're seeing all of the monsters like within the first 5 minutes. They just really showed the whole lineup, just like you kind of know right off the bat. With the exception of one like key character from later, you kind of know who's going to be in the movie.
And I mean, again, that kind of like you said, it gives it that Avengers feel a little bit or something.
Totally.
We're not saving time or not using time on introducing the members of the cast because we should basically already know who these people are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
People, these kaiju are, you know what I mean? But, yeah.
One thing I did write down that's relevant throughout the film, what the first instance of it was like, I think the first on-camera shot of the movie is a ton of, like, rack focus shots in this movie. that I don't remember seeing in any movie in this franchise from before this release date. That is to say, rack shots where you like, whether the camera's like moving or not,
shift, right?
You're just changing the focus. But it's generally like kind of like a slow, kind of like reveal kind of a shot where the focus is on something close up, and then the focus shifts to something in the background, or vice versa, or maybe like the camera's panning over as that happens. There's a ton of really tasteful close-up shots like that in this movie where it kind of the focus shifts from one thing to something else, which I don't remember seeing. Like, a lot of the camera shots in this franchise up until 1968 are like kind of super wide or kind of medium shots where you can kind of like see a lot of things in the frame, and it's not necessarily like a close-up. I mean, maybe some close-ups, but I don't know if camera technology evolved or something, or maybe it was just something they were trying. I was like, hey, that's a very modern cinematography move right there.
Yeah.
When they did it a lot in this movie. It felt kind of mature.
I'm taking a second here to look at, I was just looking at like who had directed each film and like how long it had been since Ishiro-san had directed. So there were 2 films. So he did The Invasion of Astro Monster, and then Jun Fukuda.
Was that the last one he did before this?
Yes, was Astro Monster. And then Jun Fukuda did Ibira and Son of Godzilla.
That seems super appropriate because of the plot of this movie. Astro Monster, you could honestly go right from Astro Monster to this movie, and it would be like a very logical progression.
Yeah, like you could, yeah, that's a great point. And he does All Monsters Attack, which is the next one. And then nothing again until 1975.
Okay.
3, 4. So there are 4 films that he does not do. So he kind of does 2 and then takes 4 off.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What did you
I did write down Godzilla in New York. I thought that was kind of cool, even though it was like very brief and not much there.
Yeah.
Just the significance of that with later Godzilla movies that interact with New York. Definitely the 98. I don't know if any other like American ones are in New York necessarily that I could think of, but American City anyways.
Yeah, because like Godzilla, the legendary one, that's like Los Angeles, right? Or San Francisco? San Francisco. Definitely San Francisco because of the bridge.
And all the trains and stuff in the mountains, yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It starts in Japan, hits the West Coast. And that's what I meant when I said like Godzilla New York makes no sense, and really like Manda in London makes no sense just geographically. And like I guess it's just because I've seen it addressed in the legendary films where like these things are treated like actual animals, and that's not how an actual animal would act. But then again, they are being controlled by aliens, and we find that out here shortly. So
yeah.
And
we're told they're in certain places early in the film.
Contradicted my own. Well, but because it starts early in the film, they're all on Monster Island or whatever, and then
they're on the island, and then it just says, "Oh, now they're attacking these cities," and it lists the cities. And then not long after, it says that they're in these other locations, and they don't really address how they got to any of those places. But.
And I think it's maybe that you're supposed to just assume that the aliens were transporting them. Is this the one where they show the? This isn't the one with the, like, they're stereotypical UFOs that are white with the blue bands around them, are they? And they, like, pick the monsters up out of the lake with the lightning beams. We did that one already. That was Astro Monster.
Astro Monster. That's Astro Monster.
A Honda film, right? So
those were the Zillions.
yeah.
Which are different aliens that are in this film.
Yeah, the aliens in this film are the key locks.
Though the aliens in both films are portrayed by Japanese actors. So
Yeah. Because Japan is the only thing that exists. Hey, while we're here, I had a thought today. Do you think that...
That's new.
Oh, I know. It's happening more and more. The more medicine I take, the more thoughts I have. It's wild.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Pause.
Get it out.
Goodness.
Poor boy. Do you want to borrow my cough button?
Don't have one of those, but I do have this.
Ricola.
There it is. I invited you to do that practically.
Thank you for not sponsoring this segment of the show. Do you think that anime became such a popular format in Japan over live action because of the economics of it and kind of where they were economically as a culture and unable maybe to like Toho could make live action films, but they're like, how many other live action studios were there in Japan, or how, it just seems, because a lot of anime it's not just a cartoon. It's not silly. There are some very serious things explored in anime where it's more just like they wanted to tell this story and didn't have the budget or the ability to do it with live action. You know what I mean?
I hadn't really thought about anime as potentially being cheaper.
And yeah, exactly. Is it actually cheaper to animate? Right? Like Evangelion ran into budget stuff, and that's why the end of the original set of episodes, the last 3 episodes, are just kind of like, this is what we can do with the money that we have left. Like,
there's probably versions of live action filmmaking that's cheaper than anime, but maybe by and large, anime is like a little bit easier to produce. I mean, it's not like faster, but it might be cheaper.
Certainly not. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. No.
It's just a little tangent. I was just kind of thinking that today because I'm watching several shows right now that are very serious animes. Like the subject matter of them is very like serious or heavy, or just like not what you would typically associate with a cartoon or an animated format, I guess. Attack on Titan. What else am I watching? One Piece. And I mean, even Gundam, some of the stuff explored in Gundam is pretty heavy. So
yeah, I mean, traditionally anime covers more like heavy and more like adult friendly material.
Right. And so that was kind of like what got my head going was like, is this a representation of like people wanted to be able to tell these stories and they ended up preferring the animation because it was economically easier to make than live action stuff? Or is it just that their culture really, really, really values that kind of artistic expression? It could also be that. I don't know. I'm just some white dude in the middle of America, like these are just the things I think about.
Either because of what you just said, or just because I think it's interesting. It makes me actually more interested in Japanese live action because it maybe is less common. If you've never seen Battle Royale, you should look it up.
Oh, I love Battle Royale. Isn't it a Korean movie?
It? No, it's Japanese.
It's Japanese?
And I can't prove it, but I suspect that it started that whole phenomenon. It predates the writing of the Hunger Games.
Yeah, except for the author claims that she had no prior knowledge of that movie, which is a little easier to believe in the like pre-streaming era of even the internet existing, because I don't believe she wrote the Hunger Games before the internet existed.
Sure.
So anyways, I don't know. That has always struck me as very interesting, that like she basically wrote Battle Royale and somehow didn't know that exists. Like, what is that phenomenon? Like, is it?
Yeah.
Like,
but there's more in common with, like, I think Warzone has more in common with the movie Battle Royale than it does with the Hunger Games. But Oh my gosh, pause. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. I hate it. I have Ricola, but currently it's not helping. I could always do a tea break if I need it.
Yeah.
Or we can finish talking about this movie.
All right, segment
where were we?
segment 2 of 6. We'll move it along. We'll edit this out. So
they all get out.
Yeah, monsters are out. They're attacking everywhere. Everybody's going crazy. Cats and dogs sleeping together. Mass hysteria. And we soon find out that this is, in fact, a coordinated attack. And it's this alien race called the Kilax, who just kind of reveal themselves. Cold, very sparkly, silver-clad alien women, specifically, who revealed that they
supposedly from an asteroid.
Yeah, just living on an asteroid. Who reveal that they've kind of like brainwash the monsters or have like, mind control over them. And essentially they say like, hey, you think you own the earth, but it's actually ours. It's our birthright. And so you need to surrender or we're just going to kill you. Like surrender or be destroyed. Right? So, conveniently, Japan has just finished building this rocket ship battle cruiser, highly skilled crew thing called the Moonlight SY-3.
It's portrayed as kind of like a rocket originally, and then it's sort of spaceship, and then later in the film it just kind of like can do anything. So works out well.
Yeah. So the SY-3, all of a sudden they're able to just like counter this alien attack. And it's like, now it seems kind of silly, but if you look at the like cultural context, like late 60s, space race, optimism about the space race, like lots of... It
actually made me look up the dates. I was trying to remember when the moon landing happened. You want to take a guess? Well, this movie came out in 68 in Japan.
Yeah.
It did get a U.S. release.
I got a release in 69.
It did, in like
the moon
May
landing
69.
Was the moon landing like late 68?
No. June 69. The moon landing happened about 2 weeks after this movie came out in the U.S. Literally. So, I just thought that was cool.
That's amazing.
So, but, obviously a long time in the making. So, what influences what,
Right, yeah, no, but I mean, I think it's cool, like, to see, like, that really does place this film really well of this, like, what was going on, the feeling of, this, like, hey, we're trying to make it to space here. There are multiple attempts happening. The Russians are trying, false bell are going off, but the movie, just like, unlike any Godzilla film up to this point, we spend more time in space, but there are more miniature rockets, more miniature moon bases, ray guns, all of it. And let's
not forget there were Apollo missions before the one that landed on the moon.
Right.
So, like, people know about this stuff.
Exactly.
It's real. It hasn't been successful yet, but I'm sure it's very publicized. People know about it.
Something I do want to mention, especially now that we're like in this movie, it's always been interesting to me since SpaceX started doing their own self-landing rockets, how kind of similar those are to rockets that we see in sci-fi. And I kind of
the way they land,
and like especially the reusable ones that are coming back and landing themselves, and I just can't help but wonder.
The boosters that like kind of come in and are like caught by the tower.
Yeah, well, I mean, catching booster like that is one thing, but like the Raptor rockets that like do the smaller payloads of like Like when they launch a whole group of Starlink satellites and it's a single Raptor rocket that takes that up. Those guys come back too, and like they go fully to space and then come all the way back down. They don't have a booster or anything. They just land so similar to this, and I can't tell if it's one of those things where the people at SpaceX were like,
fans,
we're a bunch of sci-fi nerds, and also like it kind of feels like, hey, we love sci-fi, and the physics just happen to actually work well enough to be able to do this. Like, but I can't tell you how many SpaceX launches and landings I've watched, and they still sometimes, to me, look like a video game. It's just so eerie and uncanny and really, really cool to watch. But, like, I guess just because I've seen it in sci-fi so many times, it just, like, it's a little bit of a, like, blurring of those lines a little bit and really, really cool. So, anyways,
I thought the rocket effects in this movie were like really cool,
and they get the benefit of Toho saying we're going to spend money on special effects this movie because it's probably the end of the franchise. Like,
totally,
yeah.
What I really loved is not only do you have like your main engines at the bottom, like you'd expect out of a rocket, but they have this whole like takeoff and landing sequence where like the orientation of the ship shifts from like, you know, vertical to horizontal, and they have like this sort of this little jet at the top that kind of pushes it, and they have all these insert shots of like the guys inside shifting to like leaning back almost to kind of sell that the ship is moving. Yeah, and I thought they crushed it.
Well, and that's just like, that's clearly from watching Apollo footage, and like, had Gemini happened at that point? I think so. But yeah, just like watching all of that kind of, because that's where they had to figure all that stuff out, was the Apollo missions.
Yeah. So Astro Monster was like 3 years before this. I'm wondering if like a significant number of Apollo missions happened between that came out and this came out.
So Gemini
it seems a little more realistic in this movie, the way they kind of approached the space rocket stuff.
So it went... Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at like space timelines, at least for the US. Because it was Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. And Gemini was essentially where they figured out how to have crews in spacecraft. Apollo was all unmanned space flight, and Gemini was like some unmanned, and then they started to like put a couple people on there and then do docking things and blah, blah, blah. I love space. I love space so much. Come here, give me this. So we get this alien invasion. They're all like, hey, like surrender or be destroyed. And this very like, here's our metaphor for the movie, or our like overarching political, because there's always some kind of like commentary on what's happening in real life, I guess, around the time. And this, like, not only space race optimism stuff, but the Kliaks feel like Cold War to me. Just like using resources and natural forces, or things that have been made out of natural forces, to intimidate our rivals, or intimidate other people into giving us, you know, what we want. And so it's this like late 60s paranoia plus sci-fi, pulp sci-fi kind of stuff all wrapped into one.
I could see that.
Yeah. And so from here we have another like global attacks montage where like the people from Earth are kind of like, they just kind of say like, well, man, we don't really believe you. What are you going to do? And then we like, on top of what is already happening, we see more destruction. So we see more footage of Rodan destroying Moscow, Godzilla. It's not just New York, but we're in Manhattan now and see him like destroy some stuff. Mothra in Beijing, we did this. They were supposed to have, I guess this is the little trivia or whatever. We talked about Gorosaurus, the one that's kind of like he's like a T-Rex kind of thing. He was put in the film as a replacement for Baragon because the Baragon suit was falling apart and unusable. So Gorosaurus attacks Paris. And they were like, well, he's easy to like. The movie is King Kong Escapes, came out a year earlier. So,
which we didn't watch.
No, we haven't watched.
But you've seen that one?
Because I haven't. No, actually, I was just kind of aware of it and aware of Gorosaurus. Mostly, I mean, this is like the only movie he appears in, but he's in a couple of video games too. Like, there's just some random like, there's a couple of like fighting style video games. So,
okay.
Where it's basically just like, hey, the aliens, and you're gonna fight them. It's basically this movie, but as a video game. So another like global attack montage, and while this is happening, then we have this ragtag crew kind of put together to investigate Monster Island, and they found this like alien base here, and they realize that there are transmitters here all over the island controlling the kaiju, and so they try to like, and then they realize that it's like from the moon that that's where their master control base is. So we just get a whole bunch of like, it's a little bit of like James Bond and like pulp sci-fi, like laser shootouts. We're going to the moon in a rocket ship, like destroying a control system. We're using these crazy like lasers,
strong colors and
very strong colors, very strong feelings, like, and it's this like, it's a very interesting change from where like the humans are just kind of like in the previous film, the humans are just kind of like experiencing whatever is happening with the monsters and kind of like surviving the consequences. And here we get where the humans are actually like shaping the story a little more. We've got the aliens controlling them, and now this like human bid to free them from control. And it's not just like, oh, we're here, we're being attacked, and we need to try and survive, and also these things are fighting kind of thing, Yeah. So
actually, the colors comment just reminded me of, I think very early on, like the first time we go into like the moon base or whatever. Most of them are wearing yellow. But there's a couple wearing red in this one shot. They like turned all the people in there, and I swear to God, my reaction was like, it looks like they're wearing ketchup and mustard costumes because it's such a strong color.
They're so red.
I couldn't see it as anything other than that.
Yeah.
That's literally what it looked like to me. That, as an American, that's what I see. Maybe it's different in Japan, but I'm like,
I mean, the yellow spacesuits looked like, the yellow spacesuits reminded me of Back to the Future, where Marty's wearing that hazmat suit, and then he ends up going back in time, and he comes out of the barn, and they think he's some alien thing, right? But
yeah, with the helmets for sure.
Yeah, with the helmets and they look like hazmat suits. I mean, yeah, without the
helmets and just the red and yellow next to each other, it looks like ketchup and mustard.
Hot dogs. Hot dog. I found myself quite a bit during this sequence of like rocket ship to the moon, and we're invading this base, and then it's like, oh wait, they lured us in here, and like
trying to convert them,
and all this stuff. But like, there's lots of very quotable, funny moments of like, okay, we're all ready. Like, did you watch in English or Japanese this time?
Always Japanese.
Always Japanese? Okay, I forget. The English dub in that sequence has some very, like, I've already had ideas of how I want to like almost intro this episode with a couple clips of this section, because it's like cuts to the crew in the ship and the main dude is just like, okay, we're all ready for action. And then it like they're just so like G.I. Joe voice print, like hilarious moments of that whole segment. I loved
one
it.
of the things that really annoyed me in this movie was the one American guy with the mustache who clearly said all of his lines in English. I don't understand why they do that. Like, and then it just had to be dubbed anyways. Like, why not just make him say it in Japanese? Like, you can't learn lines of Japanese, man.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So wait, fix that. So say that again for me. So you are watching in Japanese, right? And then when this dude speaks, because he's an American, it's in English.
No. What I'm saying is, it's all Japanese, but his lines are dubbed because he's clearly saying his lines.
The actor delivered them in English.
In English. So what you have is like Japanese characters talking to an American character in a scene, and they're all saying their lines in Japanese, and he's saying his lines in English, and they're like, yeah, we'll just dub you later. Why?
Well,
that doesn't
fix
make
it
any
in post.
sense. They should all be speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Like I know what he means because they dubbed it, but like the context doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because his lips are the only ones in the scene that don't match what you're hearing.
Yeah. Was it the old man? Is that who you're talking about? The one who's
with the mustache. The mustache guy.
Yeah. His English actor, he talks like this. We must destroy them. Like he's some like old man or something.
That's what I'm going to sound like at the end of this episode. This Ricola is not helping.
I shot down 2 Japanese heroes with a Colt 45.
Ridiculous.
And 2 zigzags. So
they invade the base.
They go in and like kill the aliens, realize that like they really like the volcanic area of Mount Fuji because they like survive under hot heat. And thank you for that. And they turn them they destroy their base, break the heat seal, and these women all turn back into these little tiny silver slugs with like rocks on their head. That was pretty funny. And they're just like crawling underneath the rocks like lol. And then I want to talk about, we're going to take a small break here. And when we come back, I want to talk about the retrofit of the laser to cut down the control unit. So we'll do that when we come back. So we're going to back up a bit. This is the show now. What's in the show is in the show.
What's in the show is on the show?
We get this like attack montage. We find out it's the aliens, and they're like, hey, you gotta basically like surrender or be destroyed. And then Earth kind of like humans, whatever, it's mainly just like Tokyo or Japan, whatever. They start like doing all this research and trying to figure this out, and they find these little like stone like structure things scattered all around the Earth, and they figure out that they have like a 2,000 meter diameter control thing. Right. And it's like what the aliens are using to control the monsters.
There's like one at the top of like a tower, and there's like one in the side of like
a mountain,
an iceberg or something crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. Like one in Mount Fuji, one in some iceberg. Exactly. So they're just like all scattered around the world. And then there is this like another coordinated attack, because basically like the aliens were like, surrender or be destroyed, and like we didn't really respond other than like digging around. Nobody really, like, there was no surrender. It would, so they send all of the monsters to Tokyo, with the intention of like kind of just wiping out the resistance, basically. Like, hey, these are the people that are doing all this research. These are the ones, they're the ones that are trying to figure out how we're doing this. So we're just going to go destroy them. And
I think this is when that one girl who's like under mind control, who's like, there's almost like an APB out to like find her. And she like comes out of the subway and she kind of shows up at their headquarters.
Yeah, and isn't there some kind of like weird?
I think that's
like,
during the attack that
like
happens.
She just like shows up out of nowhere, though, isn't it? And it's just like, I'm under control of the aliens, or is like preaching like
she shows up as a messenger. Yeah,
yeah, like a messenger. Yeah, exactly.
She's been mind controlled as well.
And I think the stones that they found is kind of like what was the link to them figuring out that she's being mind controlled by something too, and then it had to be the earrings. So they rip the earrings off the girl. She passes out. There's a whole hubbub. And I'm pretty sure that she was the one controlling the monsters, and because they like removed the mind control, that's what stopped the attack.
I don't remember how the attack stopped. What I do remember, well, there's some things I really liked about some of those sequences, actually.
Yeah.
When they were all attacking in Tokyo. This whole film has some amazing miniature work. There are so many miniatures. They're so well done. A lot of the time, you can tell you're looking at a miniature. But at the same time, it's like... like, have you ever been to Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago?
Yes.
You know the whole, like, train thing?
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, huge.
Yeah.
It's like a huge, like, model train setup. And there's just trains everywhere, and there's all these mountains and these little, like, cities built and everything. And it's probably not anywhere near, like, the scale they're doing in this film. But there were a lot of moments where I was like, well, like, that looks like it looks like I'm at a museum and I'm looking at, like, a huge
diorama
setup
or something.
Like, it doesn't necessarily look real, but I'm still fascinated by, like, the detail of it and, like, all the work that went into it. And it's still interesting to me. So a lot of really great miniature work there.
Godzilla's atomic breath looks so great in this film, and the like resulting explosions and stuff, like when he's blowing buildings up, or whatever, look like that kind of
some good hand-drawn animation.
Yeah.
There was one sequence that I said out loud, "Oh my god!" They had these two little sequences, like, with miniatures of all these people running. I think it was away from Godzilla. I can't remember. But it was like, 30 to 50 people, like, running. And they composited on top of miniature, which means, like, you could see all the little rotoscope marks around all the people.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of cutout work, like, literally cutting the film out to recomposite it. I want to know how long it took them to do. Just like, it was literally like, 10 seconds, but it had to have been so much work. It was really impressive.
Yeah.
Because it was like so many little heads and hands and things they had to like cut out to like put it over on top of the other footage.
So great. So great.
And I think, I don't remember if Manda was shown in the earlier sequence worldwide. He shows up big time in this attack.
Yeah.
And they are referring to him by name as Manda in this sequence. I hadn't written down his name earlier, so maybe they just said some things about some of the actors.
He's the one that's like...
They didn't show them all.
He's the one that's attacking London in the first like global attack montage.
I don't remember seeing a shot of that. They definitely
Don't they like say it out loud or something? Yeah. But then
I don't remember.
He's definitely shown for a second in the Tokyo.
Yeah.
In the Tokyo.
He's in Tokyo pretty heavily. You see a lot of him.
Yeah.
He's basically like, he acts like a snake, but he has like some little legs. And I wrote down his name because I was wondering if you know if it's the first time that we're seeing that character, or was he in some other thing that you're aware of?
I don't remember.
I mean, he hasn't been in a movie that I've seen. I would remember. It made me think a little bit about early on in Shin Godzilla, kind of the direction they went with sort of like the legless lizard sort of a thing. Yeah.
It looks like
It's cool though.
Manda has not been in a Godzilla movie, but it was in another Toho Kaiju film in 1963 called Atragon, Atragon.
Got it. All right. I figured it was a known character, you know. It was different enough of a character that I thought was cool.
Yeah.
He was like kind of like corkscrew wrapping around like an elevated train, and
and they bring him
like
back.
He could do some unique things.
They bring him back in 2004 for like kind of another. The movie's called Final Wars, and it's another kind of like Destroy All Monsters-esque, but
okay,
we'll get there.
Yeah, I was interested in the character because I was trying to figure out how they were operating it. Because
it's a really cool model, isn't it?
Like the shape of it is such that I don't think there's a guy in there. They clearly have like some motors for some movement later on. It's kind of like bunching, moving like an inchworm almost, like in sections. I wonder if they have a sort of like some kind of a motor with a hinge in the middle.
Yeah, I kind of like
it made me wonder how they were controlling it.
Like we've talked about the Mothra model before, and I noted how like one looked like it had wheels, or like that's how they were moving it. So it could be almost like a.
But like it's physically moving.
Like, well, yeah. I mean, it could be multiple pieces. You know exactly. So. I mean, heck, dude, they could have been like pulling it with wires across the floor, kind of thing. You know, like.
Yeah, I kind of want to know how they did.
It's a really cool model.
So that's a Tokyo attack.
Yeah, so
and then I think after that they're trying to take over the moon base.
Exactly. So Tokyo attack. We get the girl. They figure out the mind control thing, and they're like, okay, so this must all be happening on the moon because we went to Mount Fuji and there was we found the stone, but there was no real base there. So they get ready for action. They go to the moon. And they have this kind of fight there on the moon, but they have to pull out because they aren't really prepared for it. And then they go back and they there's that weird scene with all the fire blasting the ship or whatever, trying to get them to go away. Just
and they get into the rover and then kind of drive out of the thing.
Exactly. All of this to just kind of get them to a point where they can fight the Kliaks on the moon, destroy their base, and then find their control thing.
I mean, ultimately, it's a byproduct of the laser gun thing they use, that they find out that the aliens are susceptible to temperature. And if you cool them down, they melt into a slug and go back under the rock or whatever.
Yeah. And so
that was sort of what they figured out.
Yeah, and I don't remember, was it just that they had the lasers on the ship as a way to, that was just a way to break through into their base, right? And then it was oh, actually, we didn't...
Byproduct.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you said. It's a byproduct. So they get into the base and they're wow, this did a lot more damage than we thought, than I realized. And they get in and they find this thing sitting there spinning, right? And they try and destroy it and they can't, and all of a sudden it's wait, let's use one of the lasers from the ship. And so they magically refit one of the lasers from the ship
They tear the gun off of the rover
into a handheld gun,
hardwire it inside.
I guess it's just another one of those like, oh, they were really lucky that this worked as a handheld gun that they could just rip off the ship. You know what I mean? Like, I just appreciate the way storytelling and filmmaking has progressed in that, like, that would have been an actual, like, it wouldn't have just been as clean as being a really nice handgun. They probably would have, you know, like, it would have looked like they just ripped it off the ship instead of it being a nice little dunk, you know.
Convenient.
It felt like ripping the turret off of the base in like Halo or something. You know, you walk up to a turret and you can shoot it, and then you can actually rip it off the base and walk around with it.
But ultimately, once they're able to take that thing down, I think that's when the scales tip and they realize they're now able to control the kaiju instead of the aliens.
Yeah, and they've like reverse engineered somehow the mind control things. So now we, the Earthlings, have control of the kaiju, and so we send them to fight. And we think like, oh, hey, like we've won. This is it. Their control system is destroyed, and then we get like our final battle here. This is Act 3. This is the end of the movie. This giant dragonous thing, Godzilla's arch nemesis, King Ghidorah, appears, and we have our final brawl showdown at the foot of Mount Fuji. Godzilla, Rodan, Anguirus, Gorosaurus, Mothra, son of Godzilla.
They call him like Minizilla, I think.
Yeah,
in the subtitles.
Yeah, and they just go at it. They just go at Ghidorah and beat the absolute crap out of him. Minizilla even gets to do his little like ring of fire that like chokes the last head out.
Like, dude. He like blows a laser ring like freaking Gandalf. Title.
Laser ring like Gandalf. Yes.
You know, they do beat the crap out of him. I appreciate the hand-drawn like animation of like the lasers coming out of the Ghidorah heads. Great job with that. It is kind of an ambiguous battle for a bit.
Lots of back and forth. And lots of like one monster. Here's a hit. Pow, pow. Like,
but Ghidorah is like holding his own, and for a bit. At some point, the scale tips, and then it's just game over. But the thing that was so funny about the battle to me for a while is you could see, like, Rodan wasn't really involved for a while. So he's just standing upright in the background, and you can almost just see the guy in the suit just T-posing. It looks so funny to me. Because Rodan... Actually, my main criticism in this movie... Like, all of the Rodan flying shots, I think they save some money there, because it's just, like, a block of wood swinging through. Like, they don't have Rodan moving at all when they have the flying shots.
Yeah, he's just a static model.
It looks like a corpse is just, like, being dragged along. And then when it switches to suit mode, and you got, like, the guy, he's just standing there T-posing. Rodan doesn't look so great.
I can't move my arms.
Arguably, Rodan never really looks that great, but it's hard to kind of portray Rodan.
That's a tough one to pull off for sure.
Yep.
Interestingly
I really
enough,
loved Godzilla just curb stomping Ghidorah's neck.
Yeah, dude.
No, he's like jumping on the neck, like stomping it with his feet.
So great. And we get him into this position by Gorosaurus doing his trademark kangaroo kick, like pow, both feet in the back of Ghidorah, knocks him to the ground. So great.
There are so many sound effects and cries going on in that scene. It was a little too much for me.
Almost, yeah.
The thing that I the thing that I don't like about Godzilla in this era is like they have the Godzilla roar, and it's like this particular sound, and it's iconic. but they don't have any like alternate versions of it or nuance or like multi-sampling velocity if you want to talk like musical terms. They literally have one sound and a button, and they're just like burr, 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 and you just like hear the exact same sound so many times that it like loses its value.
Just like
it's so much. It's a lot cooler when it's like a T-Rex roar and you like there's the moment where it roars and it like is cool and it's like in the film 3 times maybe.
Kind of like Shin Godzilla, the first time that he roars and it's just like mouth open, you see spit and air moving on and just like that
even in the original 1954 Godzilla, like, they use it sparingly and it actually has value. And then like you fast forward to this movie when there's some guy with a soundboard just hitting it with a drumstick.
That thing, dude. Much like you should be spamming that like button there if you're enjoying this on YouTube. Thank you very much. Continue.
So, I would change that.
I would change that.
Wasn't even in my notes, but it should be.
It should be. This is the only time in the franchise that Ghidorah is killed. Other than that, like the entire franchise, he gets away otherwise, or is like defeated and then later like reincarnated in the same film. But again, just another like kind of a way like showing that Honda really like this was a climax, a sense of finality to this like thing. Like Godzilla has defeated his ultimate foe with all of Earth's mightiest kaiju. Avengers assemble, please don't sue us. So the Kleaks think they have one last final punch, and it ends up just being like a flaming UFO that shoots some stuff, and they take care of it. Burns a hole in a building. Yeah, burns a hole in a building. They take care of it pretty easy with the SY-3.
The rocket's just flying around horizontal at this point.
Yeah, and the monsters kind of like help clean everything up a little bit in terms of like they finish attacking the things that should be attacked. Like they finish Ghidorah, they finish some like the last of the alien base, that kind of thing, you know. And it's like somebody even
Godzilla
says
like tears a hole in the side of the base.
Yeah, like kicks a hole in the side of the thing, and like that's the end of the Earth base at the base of Mount Fuji. And then it's just some montages of really nice, like, hey, everybody's back on the island and happy, and helicopter and the end. So
that's basically it.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
Anything we missed for your notes, really?
No. I mean, all my notes covered for sure.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely
some trivia for this movie.
Yeah, it's to reflect on it a bit. It's a really interesting pivot in the franchise. It's like they're trying to bring everything together, every monster
ensemble.
Yeah, but it also kind of becomes it's a little bit of a template for blockbuster cinema. The Avengers kind of like feel that we've mentioned before, this like shared, I mean, it's way ahead of any kind of a shared cinematic universe. There's monsters.
Leveraging their IP.
Exactly, leveraging their IP, right? So, and then the box office just kind of proved, like, even though they thought this was the end of it, there's still a lot of life in Godzilla. And here we are now in 2025, the 75-year anniversary of Godzilla. Like, I guess last year was 75, 2024, whatever. I can't do math. I think it just is like, it just showed like if they were willing to, if they're willing to give it story and give it money, that like this movie just kind of shows what happens when you give it a good story and give money. It still stands up as like probably one of the like, definitely like the grandest spectacle of a kaiju movie to this point.
Nice.
I think the last one really was kind of like King Kong versus Godzilla. There was that like, this is a big, huge rock'em sock'em fight, and now here we are. You know, like, again, we're gonna kind of like wrap up a whole series with this. So yeah, I don't know. It's a great movie. It's fun. It's
a good one, I see.
Yeah. Give me some trivia stuff. What did you find for trivia?
There's sort of a general one, which is just sort of, you touched on some of this, but it says this film was considered to be the last entry in the golden age of Toho's Kaiju films and meant to be the last film, but it was a big success, and they were like, well, let's continue it. But continue it as part of a film campaign called the Toho Champion Festival, a seasonal matinee that specifically targeted children. So they're saying this meant that the films after this were going to have to reduce budget, be like more budget conscious. For instance, this film and other ones had a couple units of filmmaking. They were able to like kind of shoot different parts of the film and work simultaneously.
Nice.
So multiple director of photography doing things, different cinematographers working on different sequences at the same time. So after this movie, supposedly single crew filmmaking, which obviously takes longer, is cheaper, of course. But yeah, it takes longer. So I wonder if that might be a contributing factor in there not being a new movie every single year. Like the fact that we've seen so many films between 54 and this one in the span of 14 years. A lot of movies they were putting out. Yeah. The Japanese title of this film is roughly Monster Total Advancement. So the Destroy All Monsters thing was like their international title.
Which I never really understood that, because it's not like the Kleaks were like attempting to destroy the monsters. They wanted to gain control of Earth.
Yeah. I do see an item here that is suggesting that Baragon did make an appearance in this film.
Yeah, for like a half a second, but they didn't give him a like.
So.
They didn't give him a like. What are the words? Like, they didn't let him destroy a city because they like the suit was that bad that they didn't want to try and do close-ups, kind of thing.
Sure. If you didn't see it, we have 10 minutes.
Barry.
I think we can wrap this in 10 minutes. Varen was supposed to be in this film. I don't know who Varen is. You probably do. But the suit was in a bad condition. It's a flying character. So I don't know much about Varen.
I don't know either, actually. So.
You did mention that Manda was in a movie called Atragon. It's the same. They're using the word puppet, same puppet, but I think a new head.
Interesting.
So they were worried about the head looking too similar to Ghidorah's heads, so they needed some.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So yep. The budget of this film is 3 times 1954 Godzilla. So they really,
that's amazing.
Really paid for this one.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like they spared no expense other than rehabbing suits that were really bad. You know, like they spent the money where it counted, and that's really great.
Oh, okay. The English dub says this film takes place in 1999. The Japanese does not. Japanese says that it's towards the end of the 20th century. That's what it says in Japanese.
Interesting.
It does not state 1999.
Huh.
So that explains why I didn't notice that. was a little more ambiguous. So, yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that's most of it. Yep. Who's Jun Takazi? No, Tazaki. He's in this movie. He's in Mothra versus Godzilla. Oh, he plays the newspaper editor in that movie. Anyways, he was in this movie. I don't remember who he played, but this is his last movie.
Wait, you said Jun... I'm thinking of the director, Jun Fukuda.
Tazaki.
Yeah.
Mustache guy.
That's the actor. Oh, yeah. So, mustache guy. Yeah. His American voice actor is pretty funny. Dude, oh man, they try to give them all just like very distinct voices. And some of them are a little, I don't know. I bet you it's just the same people that do all the anime voiceovers, you know, and so they are character actors. Sure. Anyways.
That's the trivia. What talk rating?
Yeah. Out of 5 or out of 10?
Out of 5.
Out of 5, I give this one a 4.
We have to reevaluate. It could be a 4, maybe on some rewatch. I give it 3.5. The effects in miniatures were just so good.
Yeah. Effects in miniatures are really good. This was one that, like, for me as a kid was just always like just so much fun. And it was kind of like a little bit of a shift, and we'll see it especially with the next film to kind of foreshadow All Monsters Attack. A little bit of a shift or a thought of like, let's try and get kids involved here a little bit more. So there's just like
a little more kid friendly.
Yeah, a little more, kid friendly, moves a little bit quicker, less serious, more action, that kind of thing. So, but All Monsters Attack is squarely aimed at children. So I think maybe that ties in with what you saw for a rating and stuff. But it's a good fun movie. It's we obviously had a lot to say about it. We've talked less about other movies in the series, so I think like it stands out to this day as a really great Godzilla movie for people that care about these kind of things. So dude, I love it. It was a fun one.
What's the next movie?
Next movie is All Monsters Attack.
That's going to be a fun one.
1969. And before we run out the door and hope that it doesn't hit us in our butts on the way out, I just want to say, check out patreon.com/theoneaboutgodzilla movies. You get basically unedited versions of the show. This week's episode includes a pretty long summary of Brian's trip to Italy and all the things that he saw there. We talked about his camera gear that he took with him and all of that, and some food and just, lots of other stuff. So if you'd like to see that and just kind of get an additional 5 to 7 minutes with us every episode, for some reason you would want to do that. It's $1 a month at patreon.com/theoneaboutgodzilla really movies. So expensive. I canceled my Netflix in order to be able to finance you only paying $1 a month. So just let that. I didn't do that. I canceled Netflix because I watched it all.
You watched every single thing.
I reached the end of the Netflix, just like I reached the end of the internet in 2017. Anything to say before we scoot on? Ow, that hurt. Before we scoot on out the door.
Yes. Don't forget your chiropractor.
Youth is the anomaly.
I actually might be going to see my chiropractor from all of the weight I carried on my back during my Italy trip. Anyways, that's all I got. This has been the one about Godzilla movies.
I thought you were going to say during this episode.
Carrying this episode on my back.
Brian's all, I am the backpack. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.